In one of my last video uploads, I let you guys know that I sold the Ford F-150 Lightning. And when I had listed it, I had a hard time deciding whether to keep it or the Tundra. And I thought, well, I like both trucks. I'll go ahead and just list both of them. And whichever one doesn't sell first, I'll keep. And so I listed both trucks on the higher end just to see if I could make a little bit of money. The Lightning sold first, but I continued to get a lot of interest on the Tundra, even though it was listed at a pretty good price. And I thought, well, if someone's willing to pay that, maybe I'd be willing to sell it. And so I left the listing up, and as the title of this video suggests, someone's buying the Tundra. Good thing or not, I'm sad to see it go. It's been a great truck over the last year, and certainly no part of this decision was any level of dissatisfaction with the Tundra. It's one of the best vehicles that I've ever owned. Toyota did an amazing job on this new generation of the Tundra. Really, the only thing that I don't like about it is that the gas mileage is absolutely terrible, but otherwise it's been a great truck. So why am I selling it and what am I getting next? That's what I'm going to cover in today's video. One of my secondary reasons for selling the Tundra is actually YouTube, which is a little bit ironic given that that was one of the primary reasons to buy the truck in the first place. I've got a large Toyota audience. I knew that this truck would really resonate well with the channel, and it has. And I've made a lot of videos over the course of the last year. If you want to check out some of those, I've got a link in the upper right-hand corner. But I've kind of gotten to a point where, because I've made so many videos and I've really covered it in depth, I don't really feel like there's a whole lot more that I can cover on the truck unless I want to do a lot of heavy modifications. And the reality is that I'm really happy with it the way that it currently sits. It's got the 2-inch lift in the front, 1-inch in the rear, tinted windows. I've done the de-chroming on it. We've got a set of 35 by 12.5 mud terrain tires on it. It looks great, it drives great, and really I am very satisfied with this truck. If I were going to do additional changes to it, probably the only things that I might change would be to go with an all-terrain tire instead of the mud terrain, just for better traction in snow and ice. And potentially I would try another round of aftermarket wheels, although I kind of debate on that too, because I really like these TRD off-road wheels that you get on the limited Tundras. I think it's a great looking wheel package. So I don't feel like there's a lot I can do in modifications or that I want to, and then there's not a whole lot more to cover in terms of just overall information on the truck. And so while as much as it was a great truck for the channel over the last year, I don't feel like there's a whole lot more that I can do in terms of creating content for the channel. So YouTube is a secondary reason for selling the Tundra, but the primary reason is actually financial, and that comes down to personal finances as well as taking a look at the economy right now. On the personal side, my wife recently decided to leave her job so she could stay home with the kids this year, and so it takes us from 2 incomes down to 1, puts a little more pressure on us financially. The truck is paid off, so we're not making monthly payments, but the gas bill is quite high because the gas mileage is terrible. And then being able to take some of the money out of this truck if I buy something cheaper and put it in the bank gives us a little bit more of kind of a nest egg, or a little bit more peace of mind. And so that's one of the primary factors. Also, taking a look at the overall economy right now, things are definitely not headed in the right direction. And it's not surprising given what we've seen over the course of the last few years with lockdowns, with supply chain issues, with rampant inflation, overpriced vehicles, overpriced real estate. And while it's probably actually a good thing that we see a correction with some of that, I think it's going to be a pretty rough year for a lot of people going into 2023 and maybe even 2024. And so given that car prices have been so high the last couple of years, I feel like the price on the Tundra is really at a peak right now. And that may drop a lot over the course of the next year or two. So it might be a good time to sell it from that standpoint too. Save some of that money so that I can reinvest it in the future. So maybe in other vehicles, maybe in real estate. Just nice to have money in the bank available for those opportunities as they arise. So with the Tundra headed out, it brings up the question, what's next for me? And honestly, I'm not sure. I probably should have thought that through a little bit more before I sold the Tundra, but I do have some ideas. They are pretty wide varying in terms of possibilities. Some that I think would be really popular on the channel, and some others that probably would not. In terms of what would be popular on the channel, I'm considering a second generation Tundra, probably get a 2014 to 2021 model. I've driven plenty, but I've never owned one, and so it'd be fun to do a project on one of those. And I'd be getting a great truck. I can get a low mileage model for about $40,000, which means that I'd be taking a lot of cash from this, putting it in the bank, and I'd still have a really nice, reliable truck that'd be a lot of fun to drive. Gas mileage would be worse than this, but it's already pretty bad, so I don't know that it really makes that much of a difference. Kind of going against everything that I just said about finances, I'm also considering at a very slim level either an iForce Max or maybe even jumping up to the TRD Pro Tundra. Even though both of those would be very expensive and kind of go against what I just said about finances, I also know that they'd be very popular on the channel, and I'd probably see an increase in my ad revenue. And so it helped to kind of offset that cost. Certainly wouldn't pay the full cost, which is why it's a very slim possibility, but it is an option that I'm pondering. In terms of options I'm looking at that would not be popular on the channel, 2022 or 2023 Subaru WRX. Those of you that are regulars on the channel know that I very briefly owned a 2018 WRX. I think it was for just 3 months in between selling my FJ Cruiser and waiting for this Tundra to arrive. And I bought it because I knew it would get me around in the winter and it would be a vehicle that would hold its value really well. I had no idea how much I would like it. It was so much fun to drive, and I've missed it since the day that I sold it. And so getting a new WRX is an appealing option because they're super fun to drive, and I could get a brand new one for just over $30,000. So again, would be taking a lot of capital out of this, putting it in the bank, and having a really fun new car. Again, doesn't really appeal to my audience on YouTube all that much, but for $30,000, I don't know if that should be the deciding factor. I'm also considering another electric vehicle, which I know would not be popular on the channel, but I like them. They drive really nice. They're very quick. They save me a ton of money. And there's a lot of other benefits on top of that in terms of buying domestic energy, not sending money to the Middle East, not being as vulnerable to the rise and fall of gas prices. And I also think that ultimately they're better for the environment, even though they have their own issues. And then thirdly, I've thought, well, maybe I'll just buy something inexpensive to kind of help me plan out next steps for the channel and for, you know, our financial situation over the course of the next year. So I know those options would not be as exciting for the channel, but they are some options that I'm considering. Also open to hearing if you guys have any suggestions that you want to leave in the comment section below. Whether the short-term replacement for the Tundra is something that's really appealing to the channel or not, I guarantee you guys that long-term there's going to be plenty more Toyota content to come. I'm currently in conversations with Toyota about them sending me a 2023 Sequoia as a loaner vehicle, and if that happens, you can look forward to a lot of Sequoia content in the near future. I'm also really excited about some of the possibilities that Toyota has coming down the pipeline. There's been some images of a Tacoma EV, which is something that'd be very appealing to me. Even more appealing than that would be if they came out with a Tundra EV. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. And then I'm also really excited to see what happens with the 6th generation 4Runner. That's something that definitely could be a very appealing option. And then along with that, if they come out with a Lexus GX counterpart to that, that's something that I'd be really interested in. So I am hopeful that Toyota delivers in one of those areas, and one of those vehicles will soon be a part of this channel. And even if it's not, hopefully I'll have more luck with Toyota loaner vehicles, and I'm always happy to make videos of viewer trucks. If you guys live in the Pacific Northwest or Northern California and you're ever interested in getting together for me to have the opportunity to review one of your Toyota trucks or SUVs, I'm definitely open to that possibility so I can keep that element of the channel going. It's fun to meet subscribers, and it's also fun to see what people do with their various builds. But with all of that said, goodbye to the 2022 Tundra. It has been a fantastic truck. I really have enjoyed owning this. I'm sad to see it go. It's a very bittersweet situation, but I also think it's very likely that I've got something even more exciting coming in the future, whether that's another 2022 or newer Tundra or something else from Toyota. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and look forward to more good content in the future. Thanks for watching.